So welcome to Yoga Therapy Standing Sundays. We're primarily doing standing poses. Today we're working with legs and feet. And energetically, we are working with mula, or the root, and apana, the downward flow of energy, apana. So if you can think of your legs and feet as if the ground is right here along the pelvis, and below that is growing into the earth like a big carrot or a parsnip, really into the earth. That's our root, our mula. So bending the knees over the second toes, just finding that tracking of the knees and looking at the feet. And inhale, straightening the legs and perhaps pulling up on the knees. Just notice if that's comfortable for you. Exhale, bend those knees, look at the feet. Now, if you have one leg longer than the other, you might want to bring that leg back a bit, and it might help you be able to pull up on the knees. So notice if you have one leg that you can't really pull up, whether putting one foot behind the other can help. So I'm doing this with my right leg behind because it's a little longer. And it feels so much more connected when I do that. So exhale, bending. Inhale, straightening. Just arriving in the space, exhale, bending. Inhale, straightening. When you're ready, adding some arms, inhale, radiating like the sun all around you, clearing your aura. And exhale, imagining like a waterfall coming down on top of the head and all sides of the body, waterfall cleansing, going all the way down, and feel the legs and the feet as well. Maybe a nice pool of water at the bottom that you're standing in. Inhale, radiating like the sun all around you. And exhale, a nice waterfall down. You can do this in your own timing. You're ready on that exhale. If you like, you can add a humming sound, Brahmari. Or you can just make a ha sound if that feels more comfortable. Or any kind of vocalization you like. So feeling the body, the breath, and the mind, or the thoughts, the feelings, emotions. Adding that visualization if that's helpful for you. Inhale, the radiating sun filling up with prana. Exhale, the water, apana, cleansing. And last time, adding Om, now 3 times. Om. Do this in your own timing. It can be a chorus of Oms in your living rooms around the world. Last time. Om. Standing in samsthiti if it's comfortable, feet together or apart. Just notice how you feel, having just done a few long exhales. Placing your hands at your heart, or maybe today at your bellies. And just think of an intention linked to grounding, to being present, to letting go of something that's holding you back. Talked about this last week, Yoga Sutra chapter 112, the word vairagyam. What do you need to cut? Vairagyam. What raga, what attachment do you need to cut away to practice being present, abhyasam, to enter that tan nirodha, that highly focused mind, body in a state of flow with all that is very present. What do you need to cut away? What do you need to let go of? And maybe hands of the heart, what would you like to let in? Maybe you'd like your arms open for this letting in. What would you like to let in to your system? Abhyasa. What would you like to practice? Abhyasa. May I practice, fill in the blank. May I invite in, fill in the blank. Pick a word, one word. Hands at the belly. May I let go of, fill in the blank. May I cut away, vairagyam, fill in the blank. Inhale. May I invite in, fill in the blank. Exhale, hands to the belly. May I let go of, may I cut away, fill in the blank. Inhale. Keep this mantra going, your personal mantra, if you like, throughout the class today as a sub-theme. Exhale. This is based on the sutra, chapter 112, Abhyasa Vairagya Abhyam Tan Nirodha. What am I going to practice? Abhyasam. What am I going to let go of? Vairagyam. To enter that state of yoga, Tan Nirodha. That state of connection with all that is, including myself, others, and nature. That big self. Adding Ujjayi pranayama, constricting the throat. This creates a valve. It allows us to lengthen the breath to make it dirgha, long, and sukshma, smooth. It's from the Yoga Sutras, chapter 2 on pranayama. This practice that Krishnamacharya developed was very breath-based practice and a very mindful meditative practice. And when you feel complete, moving to Tadasana, inhale, arms at the sides. I'm not going to go on the toes right yet. If you do have neck, shoulder issues, reminder, you can bring your arms to any height that feel comfortable for you, or you can even bend your arms at the top. And exhale, arms coming down. And if you like, adding some neck movement, just being mindful for rheumatoid arthritis, being careful, especially of the upward movement of the neck. You might want to just look forward. If it's comfortable, you can look slightly up as you bring your arms up, front and sides, and exhale, maybe nodding down and looking at your feet. So just experiencing those two movements of inhale, inviting prana in, and exhale through apana, letting ama, toxins out, or what we say in yoga, malas. Inhale, letting prana in, and exhale, letting malas, toxins of mind and body out. Just keep that going. And go back to your mantra. I'm inviting in. I am letting go of. I am letting in. I am letting go of. So two primary movements of the yoga practice, physical practice. The breath practice is prana in, apana out. These two movements of energy coming in, energy moving out. And just finishing up, when you feel ready, find that neutrality between the in and the out, that stillness, that still point of samastiti, even standing pose. Can you pick a mantra to do with neutrality? May I find equanimity. May I find stillness. May I experience presence, peace. Just pick a word, a very neutral word for you. Maybe bring it into the present. I am present. I am equanimous. I am balanced. Just feel the rise and fall of the breath. All right. So let us move into our first four bend. I brought a chair today to demo with that. You don't have to use it, but if you would like, you can use a chair. And it's nice to have the chair at a wall just for security. So I'm coming towards the end of my mat, bringing my left foot forward, my right foot back, turning my back foot out. Parshva Uttanasana or Parshva Uttanasana. Inhale, arms coming up the front or sides, Exhale, reaching way forward. So you can bring your hands on top of the back of the chair like this, or hands to the seat of the chair like this, or hands to the ground. You could have a couple of blocks as well that you're working with if you prefer. It can be on their high end, their medium side, or their low. Okay, so those are all some options. Inhale, coming up, arms in front or sides. I'm going to show the front today. And exhale, coming forward. So just finding your expression of the pose, just anything you need to. Feel what gives you the greatest benefit to your legs right now, also your back. And inhale, coming up. And when you do that exhale, even though we're stretching up and out, draw the belly in, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. You want to engage that apana region of the body from the belly button down. So said the mula is said to start just below the belly button and go all the way down to the feet. Mula means root. So again, you can also think of the ground of you being just at the belly button. So if you were to put yourself in the earth, you'd be buried from the belly button down. It's kind of an interesting image. And that's your mula, your root. So try to draw that in. Your lower back will round slightly as you extend through the upper back. And the hips, of course, go back. Doing that 4 to 6 times. And then staying. Now during that stay, you're going to inhale, lengthen, and you might look up. And exhale, draw in, and that lower back will round. I don't know if you can see this if you're looking at the video, but there is a slight movement of the spine because of my breath. And I'm lifting the chest as I inhale just to emphasize that a bit more. Staying here 4 to 6 breaths. That back foot you could make parallel to the front. You can bring your hands to the seat of the chair. Extend your arms long. You'll start going more into the legs as you come further down. So I really do like working with the chair, even though I can come to the floor, because it gives a different experience. Also for those of you who need to have the head higher than heart, it gives you those options. You might just stay there, or would you like to come down further? Now from here, you can come into a downward facing dog at the floor or hands on the chair, just coming back. Do a down dog at the chair as a transition. And if it's comfortable, you can inhale and see if I can do it. Yeah, you can reach to your back wall or the air, of course. Exhale down. And inhale, coming up. It's funny, when we built the space, we didn't measure my body for my yoga room below. And it seemed to have translated to this space, fortunately. I had no intention of teaching yoga in this space when COVID happened. Inhale up. So I know you were all experiencing the same thing. If you can use the wall behind you, it's nice because it allows you to drop that hip a bit more. So again, focus legs and feet. This is also extremely strengthening for the hips. And then just staying in your down dog, you might want to take it a little further back. And then when you feel ready, coming to the other side, right foot forward, left foot turned out, heel to heel alignment, heel to arch, finding your other side. What position are you going to choose for your hands? Just setting that up so you're ready to flow, and then coming up to standing. Notice if one side feels very different than the other. And again, just a reminder for those of you with neck, shoulder issues, the variation I'm showing might be too much for your shoulders. Might be better to have the hands at the seat of the chair like this, or you can even come to this position, just hands on the chair like this, and you could have a stack of blocks that you put your head on. Okay, so let's get started, picking your variation. I'll try to have a look at what you're doing. Inhale, arms coming up front or sides if you prefer for your neck and shoulders. Exhale, extending out. Now your arms could be down by your sides. They don't have to be in front of you. This is a lot of weight. Hands coming to the back of the chair or to the floor. You can use blocks as well for your hands on the floor. Inhale, coming up. This is a back arch. Inhale, extending up. Jalandhara Bandha at the top, chin lock. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. And a further, deeper chin lock if you can. Inhale, coming up. You can maintain that length of the back of the neck. If it works for you, tucking the chin in. This encourages Apanavayu, that chin lock. Exhale, it blocks Udana, the upward flow of energy. Exhale. And inhale. Just notice how this feels. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. The belly is drawing in. The lower back is rounding slightly as the upper back extends. We'll do one more time. Doing this 4 to 6 times. You might choose to do more. This movement is actually working the core muscles. As you resist gravity coming down, that's recruiting a lot of our core muscles, our mula. When you're ready, staying here, inhale if you like, adding a sthiti, back arch. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, lengthening. Drawing the belly in. Inhale, lifting the chest, arching the back as you inhale. Exhale, rounding the lower back, extending through the upper back. Doing this 4 to 6 times. So I call this a dynamic stay. You're staying in a pose, but you're still adding a micro movement to aid the movement of the breath, the prana. When you've had enough, you can just stay wherever you are, or perhaps starting to come down further so that you're going more into the front leg. Just notice the differences. For example, if I put my forehead at the seat of the chair, that's quite a different experience. I can actually feel that more in my hamstrings than coming all the way down. But energetically, this has a deeper effect when I come down. So where do I want to work? I want to relax the mind, perhaps letting the head drop like an apple on a tree, just hang there, feels good. Or maybe if I want to stretch my leg more, I want to bring my head to the chair. And again, it could be on some blocks to bring it higher. All these heights, especially these bricks, are very helpful. So you get 3 heights on them. And again, if you have one leg longer than the other, it might feel like it's kind of shoving into your hip because it's longer, so you might want to bend and straighten to relieve any discomfort. When you're ready, Stay a couple more breaths because we stayed quite a bit on the other side. When you're ready, coming to a downward facing dog at the chair or at the floor. So I'm going to show it the floor this time. But feel free to do this at the chair. And I'm going to do one leg at a time to get into those calves. Exhale, bend the knee, inhale, straighten. You can do this at the chair if you prefer. You can add those leg lifts if you're doing it at the chair to make you a little more engaged, a little tougher. I'm going to switch sides. Really notice differences in calves, flexibility of calves, and also the bottoms of the feet. The plantar fascia is affected by the calves, how tight they are. So if you have problems with plantar fasciitis, you'll often be given calf stretches, very simple way of preventing that problem. If you've ever had it, it's quite painful. When I first moved to Garden Bay, Sexuamane is the indigenous name, I got plantar fasciitis for the first time in my life because there's so many hills here, and my calves were complaining. All right, when you're ready, stepping forward or coming out of it, however feels easiest. Coming into your Uttanasana or half Uttanasana, Ardha Uttanasana at the chair. You can bend the knees. You can try to bring the rib cage forward on the thighs, holding the bottom of the rib cage lengthened forward. You can bring one foot slightly behind the other if you have one leg longer. When you're ready, coming up slowly, inhale halfway, hands to the thighs, bending the knees. Exhale, stay. We're doing this to bring equilibrium to the nervous system and the blood flow. Inhale, coming up. You might be a little dizzy after those long forward bends. Just take a moment to re-enter the experience of standing with your head above your heart. And notice how after a mere 30 minutes of practice, so that might be your morning practice. If you were suffering from anxiety, for example, that would be a great morning practice. Notice how you feel more embodied now. It doesn't take much. Okay. Notice perhaps how you're feeling your feet a bit more now too, having done that work. So let's do some Utkatasana, and I'm going to take advantage that I've got the chair today. Last week I didn't use one because I wanted to keep it a bit simple, but I'm going to stand and then sit at the chair, and this is another great fall resistance practice. You can do this without the chair, but I invite you to try it with the chair because it's surprisingly challenging, even if you can do the classical pose. Ardha Utkatasana, this one. So inhale, arms coming up, and exhale. Now just watch yourself, make sure you're going to land on that chair. I would have the chair at the wall for safety. So sitting down, and then inhale, move your arms and come up. Just that. Exhale, sitting down, and try to resist gravity as you come down, engaging pelvic floor to lower belly. Belly button in, keeping that belly drawn in as you exhale. Inhale, come up. Now, if you want to make it a little harder, do not sit, just hover above the chair. Or come to the center of the room. It's kind of fun to just hover above the chair as well. This is great for strengthening the legs. Have those knees tracking over the second toes. This is great also for tracking of the knees. This is strengthening those muscles around the knees. It's strengthening the ankles, and it's working on Panavayu, that downward flow of energy. It's also balancing the hips for hip and lower back issues. It's a wonderful way that I first learned from a physiotherapist for working with hip imbalances. It's just squats. So physios use squats a lot, and that's why. You can also do this with your arms, your hands at the back of the chair. So I'm just going to show that. Be careful not to lean the chair forward. And come down a bit more like this, or the hands at the seat of the chair. And you'll start coming down a bit more into full Utkatasana or to Ardha. I'm going to show as Ardha, half. Maybe you come down, your heels come off, or some of you, your heels will stay on the ground if you have long Achilles, which I do not. So that can be quite challenging for the knees. Be careful, you might not want to do that. It's quite a bit of work. Again, pick any of those modifications. And if you want to stay at the bottom, you might want to grab a block. I'm going to use one of my thinner blocks, this guy, or you can use your bigger ones if you want bigger heels. And we're going to do a full squat using the chair. So your hands can be at the back of the chair or on the seat of the chair. We're just going to stay here now. Inhale, looking up, exhale, rooting back. Just holding onto the chair, you might get a little more stretch into your lower back. If this is not working, just inhale, stand, exhale, sit at that chair, or in the chair itself. You could do this forward bend movement if you like. Inhale, Ardha Utkatasana with the chair, exhale, letting it go. So that will be a modification for you, because this will not be for everyone's knees. I'm just thankful I can still do this, but it can be challenging for the knees. I'm just looking at the room and a lot of you having trouble with this. So we're not going to stay here much longer. If you can do it, this can be really nice for the lower back, coming out of it, just with care. You can press into the seat of the chair, which can be helpful to get out of it and coming up. All right. So I know a lot of you have trouble with that pose, so I want to show it with the chair today. All right, I'm just noticing how you feel, and you might feel your hips actually have gotten a bit more balanced now. You might feel that you're a little more evenly placed on each foot now. So just notice that. All right. So I just, in this position, I like to do a land acknowledgement, and I'm going to do that actually working with Tadasana, coming up on the toes. So inhale, coming up, just acknowledging the sky, the sun, the wind. And exhale, coming down through the center, acknowledging the earth, the water, everything growing and living on the earth. Inhale, acknowledging the earth, the sky, the wind, the sun, the light. Exhale, acknowledging the water, the earth, and everything living on the earth, including our first peoples. You can bring to mind as we move into Truth and Reconciliation Week here in Canada, the first peoples of your territory. And just a reminder that this practice that I'm sharing with you is from South India. Actually started in Tibet. Krishnamacharya went to Lake Manasarovar with his guru, Rama Mohan, for 7.5 years. Studied the Yoga Sutra, Yoga Asana, Pranayama, meditation, and I'm sure many other topics I'm not aware of. And he brought this to South India. He was told to go home, become a householder, get married, have kids, and teach everyday people. So that was a huge thing. That was not the common thing in India at that time. Yoga was passed in Brahmin priest caste families to their kids, and that's who got yoga. So he was ahead of his time in terms of EDI, equality, diversity, inclusion, Krishnamacharya. And then he moved to Chennai in the 60s and really developed his skill in yoga chikitsa, yoga therapy at that time. Just acknowledging the land that you are on, the 5 elements, including Akasha, space, and the people living, working, playing, enjoying the land you're on, including the first peoples. So you're ready. Just finding your samastiti, even standing pose. Bringing to mind that word of balance beyond what we're letting in and letting go of, beyond right and wrong, beyond hot and cold, that still place that's deep within us and within all. Some points during the practice, because what we're working on, you might feel a surge of energy going down your legs into your feet. That's called Apanavayu. If you ever feel that, just know that that's what the yogis have been talking about. These kinds of practices will ignite that root, Muladhara, at the pelvic floor, going up to just below the belly button and down the legs into the feet. So we are moving on. There's much more to do with legs and feet. And this week I thought I would do some balancing poses. I'm actually going to do this off my mat so that I think you'll be able to see me okay. You might not see my feet, but you'll see the rest of me. It's nice if you're off the mat, so you can use a floor if you've got one, not a carpeted floor if possible. All right, so inhale, bringing the arms to the front. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. I'll go back a little bit more maybe. Exhale, you're going to bring your left leg up. I'm mirroring for you, and lift that leg up and feel the right leg pulling up and the belly pulling in. Inhale, standing up, bring the arms up. Chin down, Jalandhara Bandha if that's possible. That encourages Apana. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. That core or mula is moving your leg. So feel like your leg is kind of hanging in the hold of the pelvic floor to belly drawing in. Inhale, stepping down, arms up. So this is a variation of vinyasa. I created around Tadasana, Samastiti. We're working one side at a time. So that's your full Tadasana, and then back to the beginning of the Tadasana, lifting one leg up. Now, if you want to take this a little deeper, you could try with straight legs. It's a little bit harder and uses the thigh a bit more. Try to bring the hips back as you do that. You might get a little cramp in the leg. I'm really surprised, but that usually happens for me. So just be careful. This is moving a bit more into Utthita Padangustasana, Ekapada, Padangustasana, where you would hold the big toe classically. Okay, so that's moving more into that classical pose as a preparation. If you get tired, just stand in Samastiti. This gorgeous day on the West Coast, thinking of our friends and families in Eastern Canada, experiencing the effects of Hurricane Katrina. And just finishing up your last one. That's also a dynamic stretch for the legs. We're going to go to the sides now. This is more about the hips, the upper part of the legs. We're going to do this today. Inhale, arms coming to the sides just to change that up. And again, remembering any height, or you can bring your hands to your head as you inhale. Inhale up. And exhale, leg to the side, arms down. And keeping your legs square. So looking at you, make sure your knees facing me. Good, better. Inhale. And exhale. I'm actually going to point my toe as I exhale, just so that I can point and flex the feet. So this is really great for the knees and ankles, but it also, according to my teachers in Chennai, from Yajnavalkya Samhita, very ancient text, this works with Vyana Vayu, the movement of circulation. It circulates energy or prana through the legs. This can help, it's said, with arthritis, just this pointing and flexing of the feet. And guess what? Physios agree with that. So that was kind of fun for me to learn. It's from a text. I'm not sure how old that text is. I should look at the date. It's quite old, the Yajnavalkya Samhita. Great text on various aspects of yoga, including some therapeutic ones. So you'll be feeling this in your hips, I'm sure. So what one of you was talking about, fall resistance. This is a great way to build that fall resistance, keeping your torso lifting up as your leg comes to the side. Drawing the core in as you exhale, feel the earth. And last round. You can always take a break in Samastiti at any time if it's too much. That Jalandharabandha chin lock as you inhale, if that works for you. Classically, it is engaged on exhale, but it's much easier to engage it on inhale. Okay, so finishing up, take a break in Samastiti. Now we're going to go behind. I'm going to turn this way so you can see me, and also I've got some floor behind me to work with. Inhale, arms coming front if this works. Exhale, hands coming by your hips as you tilt forward, some of you will come a little bit further forward. This is really working the core strength. You could use your chair or even your blocks here for stability. Inhale, coming up. Try not to wait on that foot until the last moment. Exhale, other side. Notice discrepancies between sides. So this really helps those muscles around the knees. I can feel it on my weak right side. My right knee is going, woo, working hard to stabilize. When it's surprisingly hard, keep that going side to side. So you can just come to here or here or here. You can have your foot on the ground or you lift it up. You could put the foot at the wall behind you as well. If you want to make it harder, you could bring your hands in line with your ears and come to, it's usually called Warrior 3 in the West, Virabhadrasana variation. And the palms could be together. The arms could also be at the sides to help you with balance. So notice discrepancies between sides. If you have an imbalance in your body, like one hip higher than the other, one leg longer than the other, you will definitely feel it in these asymmetric poses. That's the beauty of them. They get you to focus on one side and then the other and work with those imbalances. Just finishing your last round. This also really gets you to work your core strength. Every time you move away from your center point and come forward or side, your core is activating. Exhale, hands at the heart. And find your samastiti and rest. And notice how you feel. And notice your feet. Can you feel your feet? And especially, can you feel perhaps the foot you usually find it hard to wait on if you have that awareness? You don't now, you might at one point kind of feel that you tend to favor one leg versus the other. And if you have one of those apps on your phone that measures health metrics, you can actually look at symmetry in walking. It will measure that and it can tell you whether there's no imbalance, zero asymmetry, or what degree of asymmetry you have. It's very helpful to see that. You will probably notice after you practice yoga that the asymmetry goes down by a couple of % at least. So it's nice to have those metrics to encourage us to keep practicing. And that helps with fall resistance, absolutely. Feeling those feet, feeling the energy, the prana moving through the legs. Of course, in medical sciences, we would just call that circulation. The nervous system firing. The lymphatic system moving. The venous flow of blood moving from pooling in the legs to returning to the heart rather than pooling. So circulation, circulatory system. All those systems yogis called the movement of prana, dhyana vayu. It could be something beyond the physical, beyond the measurable, the yogis were pointing to. Said prana, the source of it is deep in the heart, the hridayam, and it is immeasurable, yet you feel it as incredible joy, peace, contentment when you are aligned with it. You will know when you're in it and when you're out of it. All right. So let's tie it together with an Uttanasana, our first official forward bend of the day. And I invite you, if you do have one leg longer than the other, to bring that behind. So I'm going to do that today, even though after all this work, I'm feeling pretty even. But it's nice to work that. Inhale, arms coming up in front or the sides. I'm going to show at the sides just for some variation, radiating like the sun. And exhale, going back to that image of the waterfall coming down, the Apana Vayu, letting go. Inhale, letting in. I am letting in. So I'm moving it to I am letting in rather than may I let in, because now it's moving in me. Exhale, I'm letting go of fill in the blank. Using all those physical and pranic or energy aspects, breath aspects of the practice, and now moving more into the mind, the emotions, towards that still point within a presence, yoga. Bhavana, if you like, visualization. Inhale, radiating sun, radiating out of the heart, pranasthana. Exhale, the apanasthana at the belly, drawing the belly in and feeling the water flowing down, cleansing the whole system, body, breath, mind, of malas, toxins, blocks. Doing that 4 to 6 times. You can keep it moving or you can stay, and I invite you to use a chair if you like, or if it's comfortable, head below the heart. Again, you can stagger those feet or keep them even, depending on your body. Your hands can be beside your little toes. They can be holding your big toes. I often like to put my forearms on my calves, bring my rib cage forward on my thighs, and do a deep forward bend that way. Your breath will be a bit more shallow, but try to lengthen that exhale. Inhale, try to breathe into your back rib cage and your side rib cage. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Chest falls. Feel how the breath moves you ever so slightly, even when you're trying to stay still. It's contraindicated for glaucoma, for heart disease, if you're not taking medication. Any pressure in the eyes or in the blood flow, if you're feeling that, please come out. Make sure the head's above the heart. When you're ready, slowly coming up, hands to the chair or to your thighs, coming halfway up. Inhale, exhale, stay, bend the knees for a minute too. Inhale, pressing up with your hands. You might feel a little dizzy. Coming to your samastiti. Finding that balance point between the letting in, the letting go. What is that place of balance beyond the opposites? So Yoga Sutras tells us, chapter 248, practice of asana, these poses, the result should be drawing us into this balance, Ananta, chapter 247, this infinite harmony. And into a place where opposites no longer disturb us. It's when you know you're in a state of balance. Resilience is when things going on around you, you have more capacity to not be triggered by them. That's the goal of the practice, is to gain that resilience of the body, breath, and the mind. Ready? Our transition to the floor today, I'm going to do at the chair. So grabbing the chair. And this is something, even though I know all of you can do standing forward bends, it's actually quite surprising the depth of a forward bend that you'll get when you do it in the chair versus not, especially if you have a tight lower back. It's going to be very helpful. So we're just going to go into Paschimottanasana. Paschimottanasana. It's actually supposed to be a long A, those two A's, Paschimottanasana. Just coming forward. If this is too much, you can inhale, come halfway up, and exhale, forward bend. Now, if this works for you, you can also extend just one leg. Be careful, you might want to, actually I'm going to do this just for safety, putting the chair at the wall, just give a little bit more safety so your chair doesn't tip back. You can also bring both legs forward, but just be really careful because you can either hold on to the chair, just be careful not to tip the chair. So I definitely want your chair at a wall if you're going to do this full variation. This is the seated pose that we normally do on the floor, but for most people it's not accessible. You can do it at the floor if you want. You can do one leg, which will feel more secure, likely. And if you're like me and it kind of bothers your buttocks because your chair is not padded, you can add a block that will cause you to slide a bit. I'm going to show with one leg at a time. I'm switching legs. And if you are doing both legs, they can be bent. Hold on to the chair as well as you do this to go a little deeper. The front legs of the chair. Coming out of that, just as a counter, Chatus Padapiyam, just lifting that chest. Inhale, exhale. You can, if you can go into it, lift your hips holding the sides of the chair. And you can also do this at the floor. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, sitting down. You can see me okay. Careful of your wrists. So if this bothers your wrist, just lift the chest at the chair. I know some of you with arthritis in the hands, you're going to need that modification. So just find your variation. The legs could also be straight. Purvottanasana, which on the floor I hate, but on the chair actually I find quite satisfying. So just be careful. This is the classical counter to Paschimottanasana, which I don't generally teach, but I'm trying to bring some of those seated poses back through the chair this term. Padapidam with the legs bent. Now when you're ready, that's your counter. You should be all balanced. Take your chair, put it away. We're gonna go on the floor now. Should be nicely warmed up. Have your belt nearby and have your blocks nearby. I'm going to be using these soft blocks for some knee strengthening work, because a lot of us have knee issues in the class. You can also use a pillow that would be around this length, or even just one of them. Okay, so you can use a pillow instead if you prefer. Okay, I'm going to show this direction. You'll see me a little better. Okay, so lying down, and I'm going to angle my camera down. No, I think you can see me okay. Okay. All right, so Suptasana is the beginning of this pose. It's like a lying down Savastiti Suptasana. So you're starting, and we're going to be pointing and flexing the toes. So make sure that you've got room for that. And you're in the center of your mat. You can hold the edges of that mat. So that might be your pose. Exhale, flexing the toes towards the nose. And I'm bringing my heels off the ground. And inhale, pointing the toes. So making sure you've got room to do a complete point. If there's space for you, inhale, bringing the arms up. This is Tadaka Mudra. Inhale, part of it. Exhale, Suptasana. And my teachers just usually call this whole vinyasa Tadaka Mudra, just like we call Tadasana, coming up on the toes with the arms up. We just call it Tadasana, even when we come down. All right, if you're able to do this comfortably, the next step would be to put a layer of blocks under your thighs or your knees. If you have hyperextended knees, put the blocks or the pillow under your knees and make sure they're not these hard blocks. They're too high and they're too hard, in my opinion. You can use them if you want, but I wouldn't. So harder is under the thighs, a little easier under the knees. Just start by flexing the toes towards the nose and pulling up on the kneecap as you exhale, and then inhale, point the toes and try to keep, again, the calves off the ground. This is quite intense. If it's too much, you can always bend one leg and just do one leg at a time. You can just use one of the blocks in that case. So, and adding both arms or one arm. You can always do opposite arm to leg if you prefer that cross-lateral experience, which is supposed to be quite good for the brain. I'm going to show with both legs, both arms. This is my favorite knee exercise. Even when I've worked with elite athletes, I have taught them this for helping strengthen around their knees. It's very simple, they're very effective. The arms coming overhead can be skipped. You can always have a bolster under your arms that your arms come to, or a pillow, or just bring your arms not as high, or even bend them at the top like that. So I'll just show some variations for the arms. or the arms can go to your sides. I can only show with one arm where I'm situated, but your arms could also radiate up and down the sides. So you're probably feeling this in your knees by now. Again, it's surprisingly difficult. You have the movement, try to work the breath, but let's take a break. It's probably getting tired. Let's just take a break. Before we do it again, that direction, we're going to do it with the feet turned out. This is like Charlie Chaplin feet, or if you've done ballet, first position. Inhale, pointing the toes, your feet are turned out. I'm going to show with my hands in case you can't see with the sunlight. So inhale, point, exhale, flexing your feet. And I'm just showing with my hands. Inhale, pointing. Exhale, flexing. My calves are off the ground the whole time. You want to do it more easily, get rid of the blocks and just do it on the floor. And for this one, I'm not going to use arms. So my arms resting at the sides, palms up or down, your choice. Okay, we're going to put those movements together and just rest for a moment. So if you're going to make a circle, I'm going to show with my hands and my feet. So you have 2 points of visual. Inhale, pointing the toes in front of you. Your feet are parallel. Exhale, flexing your toes towards your nose and turning the feet out. Inhale, pointing the toes. Let's try this again. I messed up the breath. Exhale, bringing the feet parallel. There we go. And flexing in. So that's your exhale. Inhale, turning out and pointing. It's always hard to get it going. Once you get it going, it works better. Exhale, make everything parallel towards the center and flex the toes in. Inhale, turn out away from the center and point, still turned out. Keep this going. You can change directions at some point if you like. I'm going to switch directions now. This is working all the muscles around the knees. You have one knee that's weaker than the other. You're probably going to be feeling that quite a bit. And rest. Just rest your back, rest your knees. Also works the ankles a lot because the pointing and the flexing of the feet. Okay, so moving on. All right. So, and if you can put your camera so I can see your side body, that's helpful if you're able to do that. We're going to work into Dvipadipedam. I know I can't see all of you perfectly, but it gives me some sense if you're with me. I just look over, so I do try to see what you're up to. A little harder on this bright day, but doing my best to see you. Okay, we're going to work with Dvipadipedam. We're going to do one side at a time. So bringing your left foot forward, your right foot back. You're going to inhale, lift your hips up. Exhale, coming down. Now this is stretching the left hip down and strengthening the right knee. So we're going to do both sides, and then I'm going to get you to reflect on which side might be best for your body. So this side with the left foot forward and the right foot back is helpful for a weak right knee and a tight left hip that might be also higher than the right. keeping that going. And the further away you bring that front foot, the harder it is. You can actually, if you're really working with traction in that hip, you can even have the legs straight. This is quite hard. And you drop the hip each time you come down. That's really getting into the hip. I like it myself having the foot on the ground because I'm able to get a little bit higher with the hips. So that's my preference, but it is taught that other way. Let's switch sides so you can play with that, see what works in your body. Just notice how it feels on this side with the left foot closer to you, the right foot away from you. And you probably feel a lot more work on that left knee, and then stretch on that right side. Again, perhaps that foot in front of you on the ground. Or the foot, both feet on the ground. You're doing 4 to 6 times. You're going to switch or just go to the center and decide which side you want to repeat. So maybe there was one side that felt really good for your body. Repeat that, or you can just do both feet even. If you don't have a preference, you can just do both feet even. You can also add the same arm as the foot in front of you if you're trying to lengthen one side. I know some of you with scoliosis or other imbalances, this might be particularly helpful. I'm sure you've got room. Doing it 4 to 6 times. And just resting, feet wide, knees in or knees over, ankles just resting, hands on the belly. Just a natural rise and fall of the breath. Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Inhale, let. Exhale, flow. If you prefer Sanskrit mantra, inhale Om, exhale Namo, I surrender. Might feel some energetic aspects to that meditation in your body, in your mind. flow of energy. These things are all normal, so don't worry. All right, so let's do leg stretches to end with. So taking your belt. We could do this dynamically, but we're just going to go into a stretch. We've done a lot of movement today. I think you'll be quite ready for this. And you can have your right foot at the wall if you like, or it can be bent. And as you know, most of you, I like to create a loop with my belt, so putting less pressure on the wrists, hands facing to the sky, and then through the loop, and then holding that belt. And in this position, classically, you're holding the big toe. Okay, so you can do that. The disadvantage of this, even though I can do it, is my shoulder goes up. So I actually prefer, for the most part, to do it with the belt for better integrity of the rest of the body. So that is up to you. This will get more into your calf if you're able to straighten the leg. If you can't straighten the leg, bring the leg forward until you can feel that calf. And you could even put it at the wall, bending your other leg. For those of you who are tighter, it's going to be a wonderful option, is putting your leg at the wall and pressing into the wall. Okay, so we're just going to stay here, pressing that hip down. If you want, you can move, inhale, point, exhale, flex, or just stay here. And for those of you who can work with that Jalen Zarabanda a bit more, and the neck, so set to aid with the vayu at the throat, Udana, blocks that upward flow of energy. You can maybe bring your chin in as you exhale. This strengthens the neck flexors as well. Now be careful, this is quite challenging for some people. That's your exhale, inhale, release. This can really strengthen those neck flexors and work with that Udana Vayu, blocking it so that you get more upon a downward flow of energy. It's hard for me to talk with that, but so classically you're holding the big toe, and you've probably seen this. You're coming up. We do it like this. So if you want to try that, you can. And you can do a hold after exhale if you want to take it up a notch. That's a lot of core work as well. Okay, doing that around 6 times. And then switching sides. So again, just when even if I can do a classical pose, sometimes I do the modification because it works better for other parts of. See what you choose, and it's information for me. So if you're doing classical on this side, holding with your right hand, inhale, arm up, and exhale, coming in. Holding after exhale. Modification, other leg bent. This foot that's at the right foot in a belt or at the wall. This is said to stimulate the thyroid when you can do this neck movement. It also strengthens the neck. And it likely, in some secondary way at least, stimulates the vagus nerve. We have no research to support that mechanical stimulation through the body. going through electrical implants, but intuitively it certainly feels that way. And you've done that 4 to 6 times, resting in Shavasana, relaxation. I like to modify my Shavasana with my feet at the wall, more of a Suptasana to balance my hips, but classically you let go of the legs. Another modification, you can put blocks of bolster under the thighs for the lower back. So do what feels best in your body so you can relax. You might want to put some weight on the front of your body, a weighted blanket if you have one. And put a block even just at the belly to work on that Apana Vayu. I'll show that today. So it helps you breathe into the belly. You can use a sandbag as well, or a bag of basmati rice from India. You might feel some downward flows of energy down the pelvis into the legs and feet. Inhale, let, exhale, go. Inhale, let, exhale, flow. Inhale, Om, exhale, Namo. Just keep that going. I'm going to chant for you as you do this. Om Namo Let go. Om Namo Let go. Om Namo Om Namo Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Thank you very much. Stay, Namaskaram. Take your time coming out of this place of surrender.